Good evening. My name is Thurman Greco, and this is the TV program Let's Live. We hope that you will look at this program in the future on YouTube, because it will go on YouTube. We are here coming to you from Woodstock, and we offer programs. We offer reflexology classes on this program, and we offer different interviews with interesting people who help make our life enriched. And we have a wonderful guest this evening. Would you introduce yourself, Ashley?
Sure, Thurman. My name is Ashley Knox, and thank you for having me here today.
And tell us a bit. You were just telling me you're a life coach.
In the process of becoming a life coach, I'm an academic advisor, officially I would say. But that's my next big goal, is to become a life coach, and a unique life coach. Many life coaches geared to adults. I want to focus more on young adults and help them to map the step-by-step process of living a healthy, successful life.
You know, that is so challenging, and I think that's such a wonderful concept, because I've known several people that have gone to life coaches, and by the time they found the life coach, they were in their 30s or 40s.
Very much.
Things were in a shambles, and you're going to try to head these things off at the pass with these young people.
Exactly. Start early.
Yes.
So the stumbling blocks become less rather than...
Yes. And it's like, I have a daughter in Arizona who is taking some classes, and she's learning a series of life skills. And I keep thinking, boy, why didn't I have this class when I was about 15? Why didn't she have it when she was 15?
Yes, yes.
And her children, why didn't they have these classes when they were 15? So here you are doing this. How can people get to know you?
How can people get to know me? Well, they can contact me. My website that is currently not active, but very, very soon, beyondgreatness.org, and I'll say that again, beyondgreatness.org. But in the meantime, you can email me at aknox92@gmail.com, and that's aknox, like Fort Knox, 92 @gmail.com, or by phone, because I'm text friendly as well, 845-416-2977. And again, that's 845-416-2977.
Now let me ask you something. You're having your website, you're getting a new website. And is Lucy Swenson doing this?
All the great ladies of Turning Mill, Lucy Swenson, Erin, Amanda, Renee, and all the other lovely people. Andrew, I didn't forget about you. Yes, they're working on it diligently, and it should be up and running very soon. I'm very, very excited. What we see that we're going to have are video blogs, written blogs, really bringing people together nationally, internationally, locally, and just coming together to bring positive change, supporting each other to bring out the greatness within.
You are going to have a blog, aren't you?
Very much so. Very much so. The hot topics that are going on today. So it'll definitely be two different entities. So one for youth. And I really want youth to really delve into the things that they're dealing with, the struggles that they face each and every day, and truly coming together and embracing that concept of multiplicity. Because my belief is there's not one way to fix things, but I think if we truly appreciate diversity and understand people's backgrounds and appreciate their life experiences, we can have a better idea on how to conquer some of the common and, I would say, long history issues that we face that stunt growth, and be able to maneuver those obstacles to succeed.
That's wonderful.
Thank you.
So how did you get to know Lucy?
How did I get to know Lucy? So interesting tad bit about me that many people do not know. For almost 10 years, I've been in the world of holistic wellness, working as an audio engineer tech with Jeff Gold's Creative Seminars audio company in West Hurley, New York. Through Jeff, I met Lucy, because a lot of Jeff's work in terms of the packaging that he does for many motivational speakers, nationally, internationally, our service at the Turning Mill, and Lucy does great work with many of the speakers and lecturers there.
Yeah, you know, it's very interesting. I got to know Lucy several years ago because I was teaching her reflexology, and I found out that everybody who sings or plays an instrument or teaches a class, they all go to Lucy. Everyone goes to Lucy. She's our hub.
The Grand Central Station in the country.
She really is, and she keeps such a low profile about how, I mean, she's a lineup of who's who.
Very much, very much.
And she's working on 2 blogs for me. Now, I've got 2 blogs going now and a website going. And we have...
Which is phenomenal, I will say. You are a phenomenal woman. I love it. I love it.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
And she's got, we've got a couple of books that are actually in the mix. And somebody was asking me about her recently, and I said, you know, I'm honored to be in Lucy's crowd, you know, that's working out. But let's get back to you here. You've got a special thing going in March because it's National Women's Month?
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. Go women!
Listen, when are we going to be at the point where we can say every month is National Women's Month?
It's getting there. It's getting there.
Yeah,
I feel it.
You know, you can't let up. You have to keep working on this. It has to be... Equality has to be a goal. So where are you at now? You're going to be on 460 Broadway on March the 15th?
Yeah, so 460 Broadway in Kingston, New York is a local hair salon that enjoyed some of the workshops that I held previously, and they said, Ashley, would you come to our salon, and we want to honor Women's Month and bring in men and women, men too, so you're welcome as well. I think that makes it a lot more spicier.
Yes.
And it's March 15th. It's a free workshop, communication awareness, conscious communication, lack of better words, also under the framework of NLP, neuro-linguistic programming.
Well, you just said conscious communication?
Conscious
what
communication.
What does that mean?
In terms of being mindful on how you communicate with yourself in order to motivate yourself, as well as how do you communicate to motivate and inspire others. I think as children or just by birth, we're taught to talk. But we're not really given structured techniques in the art of listening or being conscious on what we say. And many times we talk, but we really don't mean what we say, and then we get really ticked off when people are not listening to us. And so conscious communication or communication awareness helps us to, I would say, slow down the process of communicating in terms of our neural system, our brain, and also the language that we use, so that we could become a lot more clear and specific in what we want to say to get our message across to people much better.
I find that this is a huge problem, and sometimes I think this person doesn't know how to listen. How did a person get to midlife or beyond and not learn to listen? And then I have to ask myself, is it that they cannot listen, or what am I saying in such a way that they are not listening? Why is that?
Well, the first question I would say, Thurman, is when are we taught how to listen? I even think in my own childhood, I do not remember my mother or father really sitting down and teaching me how to listen. It was something that was just expected. And maybe I would say the societal norm of social acquisition, where we learn by doing, we learn by seeing and modeling. And therefore, we never really take the time out to realize that we do not stress that technique of the art of listening. But we definitely have much exposure to talking.
Well, and of course now, with these young people, of course, I'm not around that many young people now, but I am around people that are in their 40s or older, and I often ask myself, first of all, did you ever learn to listen? Or did you learn to listen and then you forgot how to listen? But now we have young people, and they are so bombarded with sound. The television, the radio, the little computer games. I mean, there is just sound all the time.
Sound all the time.
How can you teach someone to listen if it's coming in all the time in so many different directions?
That's a great question. If you come to the workshop, you'll find out. But to give you a little secret, a little tidbit. I think one of the first steps in terms of the art of listening is asking yourself, when you're in the role as the listener, where is my mind? And it's if you had to compare it to anything, I would say something like meditation. Meditation is something that's very hard to grasp, but once you have it, and you have that mindful piece to it, it becomes more of a natural flow. And I think that the art of listening, that process becomes the same way. And asking yourself, as the listener, am I listening to what the person is saying to me? Where else is my mind? Am I thinking about what I did earlier today? Am I thinking about what time is it? What I need to do in the next 5-10 minutes? Am I prejudging the speaker? Or am I taking advantage of the speaker in a way I'm waiting for that cue word to come in that I can connect to and then add in my personal feelings about it? For example, I would say, how are you, Thurman, today?
Well, I'm fine, thank you.
Oh, I'm fine too, because today was the warmest day that I've experienced all week, and it was so cold all this week, and I was really happy that the sun was shining today. Now, my question initially was, how are you? And granted, you did respond, but my question to you, am I really concerned? Am I really being present for you to know how you're feeling today?
No, you were waiting for an opportunity to speak. You were creating an opportunity to speak.
Mm-hmm. And I believe in our everyday interaction and what we have learned as a society is to respond rather than to wait for your turn. Social etiquette, if I had to call it anything. And listen to the person and listen to really what they're saying and come up even with follow-up questions so that they can actually elaborate and truly respond to that question that you ask them. However, I think that in our everyday life, and just because many times just in our culture, we ask a question, we wait for opportunity of something that we can connect to, and then it's to us. And we lost that moment of connection. And when you think about conflict resolution or even relationships with parents to children, children to parents, in the workforce in terms of boss to a supervisor or supervisor to the employees. Many times when there's conflict, it's around miscommunication. And it may not be necessarily what the person is saying, but making sure that you're listening and using questions to validate and verify that you understand that person correctly. Because our emotions are a great influence to what we say, and many times we're not even mindful of what we're talking about. And therefore, I believe that the art of listening helps the listener to validate the essence of being present for another person in terms of human communication. And also the art of listening helps the speaker to make sure that his or her message came across correctly.
That's an important thing. Making sure, once you say what you need to say, making sure they understand.
Exactly, making sure they understand.
If you can get in the habit of that, you're going to maybe save yourself some problems. You know,
Definitely, and I would stress on that. I believe that more than maybe, I've seen many times, I would say, in the interaction of my participants, instantaneously after doing a few exercises, and they're very simple techniques, very simple. But interestingly, I feel that it's the simple things that become so complex for us, right?
Yeah.
But just doing very simple techniques, do they feel their emotional aspect of themselves feel such a change, an instant change of gratification as the listener and also as the speaker, because I also do follow-up questions, and it's very interactive. And I ask the speaker and the listener, how did you feel to be listened to? And it's amazing. And I'm not even talking about young people. I'm talking about adults here. 30 and over, 30 to about, I think 85 was the oldest participant that I've had so far. And it was amazing to hear on how many people stay on a day-to-day basis. Most of the time, I don't think that I'm heard. I'm constantly repeating myself. No one's listening. And that's an issue, because the natural flow is that we're supposed to be able to communicate together. And as the listener, I hear instant results when they incorporate these techniques. Wow, I realize that many times when I'm talking to people, I'm actually talking to myself, having my own conversation in my own head. So how am I actually really listening to that person? And what's beautiful about the instant results is that it holds people accountable. Holds people accountable of how they communicate and how they are present for another person in terms of respect.
Can you give an example?
An example in terms
Sure.
of, okay, so mirroring or backtracking. I'm going to have you be the speaker and I'm going to be the listener. And at first I'm going to do something that's pretty typical in terms of a conversation. I did it before, but I'm going to do it one more time so that you can instantly see the results, or the difference rather. And so my question for you, if you could have dinner, Thurman, with anyone dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Oh my goodness. I think I would try to go out with my husband. We haven't had dinner together in a while.
You haven't had dinner with your husband in a while? Don't feel bad. Don't feel bad, because I've been talking to my husband, and Valentine's Day was not too long ago, and he totally forgot. And that's something that means so much to me. And sometimes I even wonder if he still loves me. Yeah, so, well, that's great that you would want to go to dinner with your husband. Me too.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
Well, you know what? I hear that a lot. When you talk when I talk to other women who have been married a long time, I will hear things like, well, I don't think my husband's even looked at me in 20 years. I hear that.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
So the question I have is, if the husbands of the world are not listening to the wives of the world, then what are the wives of the world saying that's wrong? Is it the sound of the voice? Is it the vocabulary? What is it that makes them not listen to us?
Well, the first thing that I would say is being judgmental. And one of the first rules that I talk about in terms of conscious communication or communication awareness is to be non-judgmental. The way I perceive the world will be totally different than the way you perceive the world. And so as a woman that says my husband has not even looked at me in over 20 years, he doesn't pay me any attention. And then we take her out of the room and then bring the husband. He says, I love my wife. I would die for her any day. Well, how can this be? This is a couple, and the two of them have been together for quite some time, but they have two different realities in terms of how they understand the relationship. And so therefore, you can already pinpoint and see that there's some type of lack of communication. And we'll do the next model so that you could see in terms of using very simple techniques helps people to connect. And one way to do that is by mirroring, or other people call it backtracking. So let's rewind and go back to that question. So the question that I asked Thurman was, if there was one person that she can go to dinner with, dead or alive, who would it be? She's going to answer that question again, and I'm going to mirror her. And I'm going to be present for her. And I'm going to listen. Are you ready? Are you ready? Okay,
yes.
Here we go. So Thurman, if you can go to dinner with anyone, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
I think if I could go to dinner with anybody, it would be my husband. We haven't been out to dinner in a long time, and I would love to go out to dinner with my husband.
So you're saying it's been a long time that you haven't been out to dinner with your husband, and you would like to go to dinner with your husband?
Yes, exactly.
How did that make you feel?
Well, it made me feel that, first of all, that you listened.
How? What did I do?
Because you repeated what I said. I
repeated what you said.
That's very interesting.
That's very simple. Yeah. And very simple.
Yeah.
Very simple. Emotionally, can you tell me, how did you feel just by me repeating?
I felt like I had been listened to. This is amazing. And this is not rocket science.
It's not rocket science.
It doesn't, we don't all have to go off and get another college degree. You just listen to what somebody says, and then you play it back. And if you play it back, then both of you know that the statement has been heard and understood.
Very much that the statement's been heard and understood.
That's wonderful.
Let's try this one more time. We're going to use the same question. If you can, give me the similar response.
Yes.
And I'm going to show you something a little bit different.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. So, Thurman, if you could go to dinner with anyone in the world, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Oh, I would love to go out to dinner with my husband. We haven't been out to dinner in ages. I would love to go out to dinner with him.
What? You would like to. Oh, so you would like to go out with your husband to dinner? That's nice. That's nice. Because it's been a while, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
How do you feel now? I hope viewers, just to let you know, I'm role playing.
That was very interesting because that's what people are doing. They're playing with their phones. They're looking at whatever is around them. They're paying attention to what's going on, or they're just not. They're just out to lunch. They're just not focused.
Not focused. I think that was the key word. Not focused. And even though I wanted to know about who would Thurman want to go out to dinner with, I remembered that I have to submit something in about 15 minutes. So I'm listening and I'm looking, and I always see this.
Yeah.
Many times with parents to their children.
Yes.
Children come home, they finally decide to tell you what they did in school today, but you just got home from work. And you have things that need to get accomplished ASAP.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just put yourself into a child's mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Mom, I'm trying to talk to mom, dad, and I repeated what you said. So I did do the simple technique of repeating. But the other part was I did not allow myself to be aligned with Thurman and allow myself to be present, to stop everything that I'm doing so that I could be mindful to focus, especially if you're going to ask a question. And by me asking that question, and once she responded, and I was listening, because I think we're a society that we multitask. We multitask maybe a bit too much. And it becomes such a natural practice that we do things without knowing. So I don't even think that many people that could relate to some of the things that I've done with Thurman say that it's something bad, because I would not consider it as a negative behavior, but I think that it's something that we should take consideration to improve, because I don't think that it's intentional. I really do not think so. I just think that it's just a part of our natural flow, trying to get things done. We're a microwave society. We gotta go, we gotta go, we gotta go, we gotta go.
Yes,
the flip
we
side
are a
of
microwave
things,
society.
very much so. And the flip side is that we're losing the true essence of who we are and what we're meant here for, and that's interacting with each other.
Yeah. So how difficult is it to change? I mean, because that's really quite different to suddenly focus in on what a person is saying and then say it back to them requires a completely different approach. How long can a person who is new to this keep this dialogue pattern up? What do? Do you just say, okay, I'll practice this dialogue pattern 5 minutes today and then 5 minutes tomorrow? I mean, how do you get into this? I guess that's what I'm saying.
I think that's a great question, and I think that you gave a great answer. Everyone is different, and each individual learns at their own pace, at their own rate. Maybe some people need to dedicate 2 minutes out of the day to try this technique, and also be very reflective of that technique when you utilize it and compare it to the rest of your day interacting with people. And as time goes on, you should see a difference. And most people become inspired after seeing that difference and start to gradually incorporate the art of listening more and more in their daily life. Because once they start to achieve or see that, wow, I am able to create more positive things happening in my life and actually have the power and authority to decrease the negative things that I necessarily don't want in my life through the art of listening. It's like that quick fix diet pill that everyone's going for, but they know it's not good, but they go for it anyways. What's different about this is that this is very healthy, very natural process. And all I think it takes is time, dedication, and the open heart to try something new.
Wow. Now, do you teach these techniques to children as well?
Yes, I do teach these techniques to children. About a year and a half ago, I was a parent educator out in Orange County for a Strengthening Families program. And from there, I became really inspired working with the adults that, wow, what I'm teaching young people actually should be taught to adults. And to adults in a way that it's readily available to them, because it's a very demanding life. They don't have much time, and for free time, it's usually dedicated to the children. And so I find very easy, simple, and short time frames for older adults to incorporate this in their daily life.
So I'm going to break away. I want to move to another section. I want to know, if a person wants to learn your techniques, how do they contact you, and what kind of an environment do you work in?
So for the workshops, right now I'm doing the communication workshops. It's called Find the Irresistible You, Unleash Your Most Attractive Dynamic Self, which focuses on effective communication and positive behavior. I usually advertise on the different local websites, so Hudson Valley Times, Chronogram, the Kingston Times, Ulster County Alive, Kingston What's Happening. Take a look month to month, and usually I do a workshop once a month. It's been. Also, once the website is up and running, and that will be very shortly, you can go on my website, beyondgreatness.org, to get a listing of the different locations and times that the workshops I will have be presented. And in the near future, I will have them also available online, because I realize even when you try to do something once a month, it's very hard. It's very limiting in terms of availability, and I want to create that availability greater for people.
So what I'm thinking is, you give these workshops, but then they can kind of follow up online.
Very much so.
So the online is like something that you follow up with a workshop on, but you can take...
So they're online classes.
Okay.
Online classes, interactive. I've been in the field of teaching for quite some time, and one of the things that I embrace very much is learning needs to be fun. Learning needs to be exciting. So if you come to my website, you sign up for my classes online, I promise you, you will not regret it, but you'll have a lot of fun with Miss Ashley. I will say that. And
well, now, your classes are usually in the evening or the afternoons?
Weekends, evenings.
Okay, do they usually last a day, or, I mean, what is the format?
I usually have the classes last about an hour and a half. So the duration, about an hour and a half. And in the summertime, I'll have classes that extend for 3 hours, so it becomes a lot more intense.
But these are not classes that you have to devote a whole weekend to. In other words, you can go to a class in about the same amount of time that it takes to go to the movie, and you can come away feeling better about yourself and knowing that you are able to communicate with people
Exactly.
better.
I call it life-changing techniques to improve and overcome everyday life struggles.
There's a lot of anger out there now.
There is.
How do you deal with that?
Emotional self-care, and I think that one of the first aspects that I think of in terms of anger, dealing with anger, is this essence of being judgmental and the lack of empathy that we have in our society. And I believe that if people can understand that in any intention, whether it be positive or negative, if you are inclined and you start to peel the layers, you'll realize even in the negative situation that each person, the rooted intentions are usually positive, even down to the point of safety and security. And I believe that if you can embrace that idea when it comes to being frustrated with others, frustrated with life outcomes, and understand that what may seem to be not okay in your vibrational bubble, it's temporary. And also appreciate those moments as lessons learned. I think that we become very spoiled as a society, and therefore we're always looking for the good, good, good. And when the negative happens, everything stops, and not realizing that life is all about balance. So you have to take the good with the bad with the good, and that the two are all necessary in order to shape and mold you to be a stronger individual and be the great person that you are. If everything is great in life, then how can you appreciate greatness without any type of suffering? And so when it comes to anger, and I'm taking this from a very, very light layer, we can definitely go deeper, is to be non-judgmental and think positive, especially if it's a conflict between you and someone else. Listen and find out, what is this person trying to say to me, and why is this person in disagreement? Why is this person trying to hurt me? And I think that when you start to ask those questions, rather than be so defensive and say, no one's going to step over on my grounds and I'm going to always stick up for myself. Well, you can do that, but you also can do that in a more positive way by taking time out to be reflective and find out what's the true root cause of the situation or the conflict. And why is this person behaving this way? And one of my greatest beliefs to sum things up is, in order to change someone's negative behavior, you cannot change a person's behavior. But what you can do if you're looking for a different outcome is change yourself. By changing and becoming more positive in your own behavior, you can influence other people around you. And very simple in terms of, we always tell children, oh, you don't want to watch the violent movies and the negative media and the songs that are out there. Well, why? Because if you put yourself around negative, what are you going to get? A negative. And therefore, if you put yourself around positive, then you can influence others to have that positivity within themselves as well, and understand that that's what you claim and that's what you desire and also are expected to have. And I think that that can decrease much anger in people.
Because there is a lot of anger out there now. There's a tremendous amount of anger. And it seems like there are more and more people who are focused on venting their anger. And it's, in some cases, just comes at you, and that's so hard. It must be very difficult for a young person.
Very much so. And to a certain degree, venting is good because you do need to release, but it needs to be effective type of venting. So if you're just venting to vent and you're not putting anything into perspective, if you're not opening yourself to be reflective, to say, why am I angry? And you're to a point that you cannot think. What do we tell children when they have their tantrums? You need to take a time out. For young people and also adults, sometimes you need to take a time out and understand boundaries, and that it's okay to walk away rather than escalate the situation and make things worse.
Yeah, walking away. And if somebody's going to just run roughshod over you, just, yeah, I think that's a good idea.
And walk away in a respectful manner. If you know yourself, we know ourselves, and if you don't know yourself, then this is the time to take time out to find out, who am I? What are my traits? What are the things that kind of turn up the oven on me? And know those boundaries so that when you feel it escalating, you can stop before it becomes uncontrollable.
Do you have classes where you teach people to find these traits?
This will also be incorporated in terms of the classes to come and also the online classes. And so Find the Irresistible You is becoming very popular around town. And now I'm ready to hit to the next piece as far as just the different issues that we go through each and every day that we don't take the time out to have a public forum and talk about and learn from each other on how to embrace new approaches to live more healthy, sustainable lives.
Wow. Now, you said you had been dealing with holistic health?
Yes. And as far as being in the field, so working with Creative Seminars audio recording company in West Hurley with Jeff Gold. I was quite young, I want to say, when I started to work with him, and he records an array of top motivational speakers in holistic wellness, higher consciousness, any topic you could possibly think of, alternative approaches to health. I can go on and on and on. Spiritual healing and conscious communication. So very, very young, I would say, I was exposed to many motivational speakers. And in terms of my educational background, my family upbringing, everything put together kind of just glued to me, and I actually found my purpose, my niche. And I said, wow, this is it. My purpose is here to help others, and to help others unlock their creativity and bring out the greatness in them. Understanding that life is not easy. And many times, particularly from adulthood going into adulthood, young adulthood going into adulthood, things that we don't plan to happen that may knock us down. And I believe that my purpose is to inspire people to say, you may get knocked down sometimes. But the key here is embracing the tools to have a level of resiliency, to pick yourself back up, brush your shoulders, and go on with the race, because we're all here for a purpose, a divine purpose, and no one is here to fail. And so if things are not going right in your life, I think it's just a matter of reflection.
I think people have to also learn to pat themselves on the back.
Very much so.
They have to learn to recognize when they have done a good job, and you don't have to wait for somebody else to recognize that you did a good job.
Very much so.
You can know that on your, so if you can learn those things, it's very important. Do you have any special classes for the over 65 set? You know, Ulster County's the oldest county in New York State, and by that I mean it's got more.
Say it with pride. Woo! Yes.
You know, it's got more cotton tops than anybody else. Do you have any classes for the cotton tops?
For the cotton tops. I embrace all ages, all backgrounds. Again, from the class, Find the Irresistible You. Lately, I would say the age group has been from 30 to about 85.
Oh, really?
And for example,
wonderful.
I mean, it's wonderful. And in terms of just finding that irresistible you, or understanding what does it mean to have that irresistibility factor within yourself. I had a gentleman who was over 65 tell me a week after the class, he says, "Oh, Ashley, I have to tell you something. I'm so glad that you invited me to the class. After I left, I went home and I contacted 3 people I have not talked to in over 10 years to say, I love you."
Wow.
Wow. And that's what makes what I'm doing so fulfilling and just so great. It makes me continue on. And
that's wonderful.
Wonderful. And those are the life-changing techniques that I talk about in terms of just positive change and positive healing, and very simple. Again, like you don't have to go to school for all of this and waste much time. You can get it nice, quick, and easy, and just incorporate it into your life. Beautiful.
Isn't that nice? You ask people to contact people they haven't spoken with in a long time.
Very much.
Just call them up and say hello.
Very much. Hour and a half. Mm-hmm.
Wow. In an hour and a half you
Very
do this.
much.
So you can change your life in less than the time it takes to go to a movie.
I like the way you said that. Find the irresistible you. Unleash your most attractive dynamic self. You can change yourself quicker than you can watch a movie.
It's true. It's true if it's only an hour and a half. Now, you say that you've been working in Orange County, so you were working in the school system? How is that working?
So I've been in academic advising, counseling for a good 10 years now. And for, I'll say, about the past 5 years, I've been focused with secondary education students in college career readiness. I work with SUNY Orange, SUNY Ulster, and currently at Mount St. Mary College. And the College Career Readiness Program is a program that offers student academic and social emotional counseling to support students in a smooth transition from high school into college. In better words, I work with students individually and helping them to discover their talents, their inner abilities, their interests, and encouraging them to take charge of their own education and their own lives. Encouraging them to come up with academic goals as well as social goals so that they can become more mindful of why they're in school. I think that many, when it comes to high school dropout or students who are struggling, it's because they don't know why they're there. And the information that they're being told in schools is very important, but if they cannot make that connection to the real world, they become very disengaged. And so therefore, the service that I have been providing for young people is truly finding the connection between who they are, personal awareness, social awareness, understanding who they are in the society and the opportunities that they have in order to strive, and also coming up with an exact plan. The College Career Readiness Program is called Map My Future. Let's map it out now. And like Dora, let's go exploring and conquer our goal. And that's what Map My Future is all about. And then I also have another youth program that's called Millennial, the Next Generation. And that's bringing students together to tackle some of the social issues that go on in their communities, and to provoke critical thinking and socially conscious, responsible behavior in young people. I challenge them to not only address some of these issues, but find sustainable solutions. How do we fix these problems? I think that young people, they're relying on the generations before to do all the work. And it's all about coming together, group collaboration, and building these trusted communities where we all collectively bring in our strengths to create positive change. And that's what Millennial, the Next Generation is all about. And so I'll give you an example of the two. I was working at Middletown High School, and I had a student that was from Guyana. And she moved over to this country months before the end of the school year. She was a brilliant student, but she had some difficulties in terms of transitioning into the structure of American schooling. And many times students can feel a sense of inadequacy, just that whole feeling of, how do I meet new friends? Especially, not only are you coming from a different area, but a whole different country. Working with the student one-on-one and coming up with concrete, measurable goals and specific strategies that she would work towards to accomplish these goals, she created great success. As a result, she became extremely involved in her school and her community. She went from not being involved in any community events, rather go to school and then go home with the family. So she was in many different social clubs and academic society clubs in the school. Also, she joined the College Career Readiness Program that I was working for and traveled all throughout New York State, looking at different colleges to see what would be her best fit. And as a result, she earned a great scholarship to a college that her family couldn't really afford, and her talents, her abilities, incorporating the effective communication, the social etiquette, through the Millennial Next Generation services, understanding how to work with people and create positive change. She just made herself beyond dynamic and really mirrored when I talk about unlocking your creativity and bringing out the greatness within, and just truly changing lives and encouraging people to understand who they are and creating that passion and purpose in people so that they go after all their dreams and goals and also accomplish them.
That's an extremely important thing, because one of the things that I have observed is we have children now, young people, who are very intelligent. They're going to school, but it's kind of as if they're just being led around by the nose in high school. So they have no real not much independent thought. And then all of a sudden they're in college. They have no support group. They're in a new environment. They know no one. And maybe they were on Ritalin or something all of those years. And all of a sudden, here they are, 18, 19 years old, and things have just totally, all the support has just fallen. And it's very hard.
It's very, very hard.
If they haven't been strongly involved in a church or some kind of group that they can continue in college, it's difficult.
It's very difficult, and that's, in terms of group support and exposure and teaching young people, not only teaching, because how do you know if a child is truly learning until they actually present it? You can take a test and answer A, B, C, or D, but have you truly internalized that new knowledge? And how do you know that you would truly internalize it and that it works for you that way unless you were given the space to practice? And understanding the rigid structure of American schooling, it's only so much that we can do. I do understand that. And so it's programs like this that are outside of school but collaborate with the school system to give young people these opportunities so that they're not stuck in a situation where they're told to be extremely dependent in terms of their thinking. They transfer into the college world, they transfer into the career world. And now they're told to be an independent thinker. You are an adult and you are accountable for all your actions.
Yeah, it's hard. It's really
scary.
For such an initiation, you know, and there's not much of a ceremony to it. It's
very much.
Out off the high board. It's tough.
It's very tough. And I believe that creating more bridges in terms of service learning is what they're calling it. I like to call it experiential learning, and I take that concept from John Dewey. And this is going back in the early 1900s, but John Dewey had such a great concept in terms of naturally we learn by doing. We learn by seeing. If you don't want your children to do certain things, you make sure that they're not exposed to those things.
Right.
And it's interesting that we don't embrace the art of hands-on learning as means for children to truly learn and create meaningful learning where they're able to connect new knowledge to their current reality. I hear many young people say, oh, you know, I don't really care about school. What do you mean you don't care about school? What are you going to do in the next 4 years? I don't know, live off my parents.
Well, and then what?
And then what? I don't know. And that's that dependent thinking. Someone's going to think for me because I'm a kid. And also I don't want to say not understanding, but not being guided in a way to truly prepare young people for the next step, the next life stage, which is adulthood. And I guess because we've been doing it for quite some time and just being pushed out there, and if you can swim, you swim, and if you don't, you'll sink and learn how to swim.
Right. Yeah.
We've been repeating that cycle. And I believe that it's one way to do things, so I'm not going to knock it. However, I also believe that we're losing a lot of potential by only offering it that way and not giving the space for young people to practice real life adult skills that they need. And the purpose of me incorporating youth development programs along with the adult effective communication and positive behavior programs, the adults help me as a researcher to find out what's truly needed to teach the young people to be great leaders for our society.
Right.
And when I hear adults tell me that have been in corporate world for 15, 20 years that they still have issues meeting people, talking to people that they don't know, that's something that needs to be addressed immediately, supply and demand.
Yeah.
And if we can teach these type of classes and training to young people, I can't imagine in terms of just the potential that unlocks with this new generation, this new tech-savvy 21st century learners is what they call them. And what makes it great for the young people, I think, even right now in terms of technology, because I do hear a lot of talk around technology has diminished the human interaction that young people have, and they're missing the essence of human interaction and human touch. Young people now have the ability to reach out not only nationally but internationally. And if we could give them the practice to create real life scenarios so that they can practice these skills, figure out what they need to improve on, understand what their strengths are, and utilize their strengths to build up their weaknesses, I believe that they would be a lot more confident to become very creative in their mentality and become new innovators and editors to create new programs, services, new jobs in this new global economy, particularly in the world of technology that I'm still trying to embrace.
You know what, girl? We are at the end of our program. Can you tell everybody again how to reach you?
Yes, so to reach me, you can give a call 845-416-2977 or email me aknox92, that's AKNOX 92 @gmail.com, and I'm hoping about a week. BeyondGreatness.org is the website. And also, March 15th, Find the Irresistible You, Unleash Your Most Attractive Dynamic Self, an adult communication awareness workshop. It's a free workshop in Kingston, New York on Broadway across from the Midtown Neighborhood Center at Love Hair Salon in honor of Women's Month. All women, all men are all welcome to unleash your most attractive dynamic self, and I hope to see you there.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Thurman. It was such a pleasure.
Yes, it's been
very
a lot
much
of fun. These programs are always fun. And thank you very much, Ellen.